And hello everyone, welcome to CRF2 round 7, starting in slightly late, but we are here nevertheless, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. My name is Rich, welcome from me and from the CRF crew, and hopefully we can have a great session here today. We somehow scraped by, I think we scraped together, around 15 drivers today. And hopefully it will be a nice fight. Some decently fast drivers here, and hopefully some good pace to be seen. As we are loading up, and the session is slowly starting, we will have to see. As you can see, RB19 is trash in there. Lewis. Who else is driving? I think Wimpy Nick, the favorite, probably is here today as well. Nixco, one of the faster tier 3 drivers, is here today. And obviously Parker, Burgertown. Some familiar faces for sure. And now it's all about strategy. Let's see who goes out early, who goes out late, and all that shenanigans. Yesterday we had a very chaotic race. And the day before that, in Tier 4, we had a rainy race. So it's still a bit up in the air what the strategy will be in terms of tire compounds and such. As we do see the first few drivers exiting the pit lane already. But yeah, exciting stuff. A very diverse grid today, and so I hope that we still have a competitive field. But knowing some of these drivers, we will definitely see some good fights. Alright, now we're all set up. And hopefully no disconnects happen, no restarts, and all that. We've had enough of a delay today. As Wimpy Nick already having a grid penalty for a collision. That is not ideal. So we take the map here, and he had a collision with Eben. Wimpy Nick will not want to see that. He is, in my opinion, still the favorite to take pole position today. And so that is still surprising to see him getting a penalty this early on. Typically, he is a very well-rounded driver. So I'm guessing he had a little bit of a miscommunication with Eben. As the first few drivers are starting their laps on board here with Parker. Someone we hype up a lot. Who has shown very good pace. But either super unlucky at times or just a little bit inconsistent. It's hard to say. But the results haven't been as consistent as some of the other boys like Wimpy Nick, for example. So compared to yesterday and the day before, we do have strict corner cutting today, so no shenanigans through the first sector as we have seen so far in this weekend. And there's a McLaren standing still. I'm hoping that's just to create some space. As Luca opens the dance with a 109.9. I'm not expecting that to be very oh. The McLaren has no front wing and he's in the middle of the track. Hopefully Parker did not get impeded too much. As Wimpy Nick and Meneco both in the 108s already this early on. That's good to see, as Parker finishing his lap and he will do a 109.8. So maybe he did get a little bit held in that middle sector, as we see a purple middle sector by Lewis. I think he has a 108.5 or 4 pretty consistently here. So I'm expecting one of those laps here. No, it's a 109.1. As we do see a bit of cloudy weather, so maybe not the best grip here today. Monk's 109.5. He did pretty decent here yesterday until chaos ensued. Who else? KA is out. He is finishing his lap. And let's see what he can do around the final corner, if you can even call it that. He is on a 117, so probably had a little bit of a spin. And the rest still waiting patiently. Although Burgertown is just starting his lap, as we see KA off out of turn 1, but no real damage done there, and no one really impeded, no one behind him, luckily. So the first few laps have been done, so that means a bit of calm has gone over the track, as already some penalties have been applied. Not everyone happy obviously with that. Not sure what happened, but we'll see that after the race. Obviously, usually we can't do much about these penalties mid-session, as we are on board here with, or at least looking with, Burgertown, who, if I remember correctly, was doing pretty well last week and then had a bit of an incident with someone with which he was not very pleased. Some words were exchanged. Hopefully for him, a better result on the cards for him today as he starts his lap. Let's go on board with him. This tricky but short track, wanting to keep a tight apex through turn 1 and 2, get on the throttle early and keep it tight on the inside. He lets it drift a bit wider, that loses you a few hundredths, nothing too big. Purple first sector for him, if we can trust EA. Oh, he goes wide and he's off, and that is a left front wheel gone. I was about to say, you kind of want to brake slightly earlier there so you can get on the throttle earlier and not drift as wide, but he misjudges it and is out of qualifying. Not the start of Burgertown really wanted to see. We also know him as Seb in the Discord, but it's an unfortunate start of his weekend, and we'll have to start the race cold and back from the grid. P15 for him, as KA wanting to improve his lap time, but he has no ERS, so I'm doubting he's gonna do much, as we are on board now with Eben, this time with a front wing. That is a good change. I appreciate it, MJ. I'm hoping for a bit more clean racing, as we are expecting to see, to be honest. What we saw yesterday is not the norm, and we know that there's a lot of fast and respectful drivers in Tier 2, so expecting a better show today, as we are still on board with Eben, and it looks purple, if we can believe the little indications of the map that EA makes, as he takes a little bit too much curb on the inside. That does bottom you out, loses you a little bit of speed, but still looking like a decent lap, and it is a 1:10.1. It's actually not one of the better laps. Yeah, honestly. We should be okay today. Glad to see you here though. What's your expectation, who you have for the top step? Let me know. As we see a very slow in-lap here, out-lap rather, by Lewis. P4, 109.1, who won't be happy with that. I think he can do a lot better than that. NASCAR fan, pretty high up there, pretty good. Williams doing good business right now, and Meneco and Nixco, rivals in Tier 3, are now teammates and doing very well together in positions they are very familiar with in Tier 3, and to see them up here in Tier 2 may show that they have more than what they have been given credit for. First sector, purple, 4/10 almost for Lewis. That would already be enough for purple, and that is a great turn on the power early. And now it's all about not throwing it away here. Hard to, or quick, you can easily lose your way rather here, but does it well, tries to keep it tight, maybe runs it a little bit too wide, but as long as you keep the pace, it's not that bad. keeping that minimal speed up is very important. As a yellow flag behind, we're not going to take too much attention away from what has been a gorgeous lap so far by Lewis, keeping it tight around this turn. And now end of the second sector, he is 8/10 up. Now this is going to be a lap of 108.3 is on the cards here, if not better, depending on his exit last time around. A great last turn and a straight, and this will gladly and easily be pole position for now at 108.300 by the Ferrari driver, as we see Luca Biel getting a penalty. A great lap by the Ferrari driver. It must be said, with no teammate he has to perform, and he does so here. LFC Monks finishes his lap and goes P5. So for the people who are not up to date with the Tier 3 CRF League, they are driven on Fridays, and the top 3 pretty consistently are Meneco, LFC Monks, and Nixco, who are now in P5, 6, and 2. So it shows that they definitely have very good pace if they can just keep up with the top boys of Tier 2. And so they are lining themselves up for a seat here for the next season, which is only a few rounds away. So a very good time for them to perform at this level. Obviously the race is another story. Let's see, anyone else on the lap? LFC Monks probably is not. He just finished one, obviously. Nixco about to start his. Parker on the final corner is boarding his. RB19 is trash. Such a long name. I was gonna call him Seb, but then no one knows who I'm talking about. But I guess if we do it long enough, everyone will catch on anyway. Is 3 seconds down on his own time, so not the best lap from him. Luca just got a 5 grip penalty. That's not ideal for him, but around the final corner he goes, and he does a 1:16. Not very representable lap time there, as KA slowly messed up his first turn, maybe, or has invalidated, it seems, because the entire thing is red. And we still haven't seen Eli yet. At least I think that's Elias. Is that his name? That's how I read it. He's not gone out yet. Not sure what that is all about. What? I don't know. Maybe it is strategy. Who knows? It's Nixco. He just finishes a lap and does a 108.641, reclaiming a step on that provisional front row, and does readdress the situation where Meneco, Nixco, and LFC Monks are just showing that they have a future, if not very recent future, that's not how you say that, close in the future seat for Tier 2, because damn, they're fast. Wimpy Nick think that he should have a little bit more pace, or maybe this just is not one of his better tracks. He also has a penalty, so he does need to get up there and find himself more close to that lap time of Lewis, who I'm not sure is going to even go out again. Is there even a point? 108.3 seems pretty much as good as it gets. Because there's a yellow, and it's again the McLaren of Eben in the same place as earlier. But this time it is just making space, it seems. Although it's hard to say. Might be him making space after a mistake, as he did use a lot of ERS. Meanwhile, on board with Aiden. Now in P12 with the 110. And expecting a little bit more of that. Alfa Romeo driver has some good pace. But you know, there are a lot of reserves driving today, and or Tier 3 drivers, so you will see a weird mix and match of pace and such. Also, some people not having a setup ready, some people joining last second, etc. So we do see Aiden go back to the pits, and that means everyone is in the pits except for Meneco, RB19, and Fergus. And Meneco has good pace on this track, it has to be said, and has shown consistency as well. Just has to keep it out the wall also during the race. As ahead, there's an Aston. He just goes too wide and invalidates his lap. It happens just like that, and it's just a shame how easy that can happen. It's all part of the business. He does finish his lap in the end, but I'm not sure why. It's a 1:10.1. Durga starts his lap, starting his first sector, and does keep the more tight line, as I said, is the usual here, as he does go purple. 16.959. Oh, a big wiggle on acceleration out of turn 3 though. Might lose him a bit of time, as an Aston or an Alpha is going out of the way of the McLaren without too much trouble. And most people are just waiting. 3 minutes to go. Short track. People are just gonna come out around now, maybe at 2:30, do a very slow in lap, warm your tires properly, and then go for that final lap, where we are gonna expect very fast lap times. At the moment, we are looking with Durgas Vap, who is a 10th down, I think, on his own lap time, which means that he needs a very good last sector in order to improve, as the McLaren and AlphaTauri are still squabbling. Durgas does not improve by 300ths. And as I predicted, most people will be coming out. Will Lewis bother? 2:21. I would have expected him out by now. So I think he is just staying in, saying it's good like this. Nixco looking to do the same, because they have to hurry up if they want to go out. All that being said, Monaco is starting his lap with 60% ERS. Not the ideal amount, but you don't need the entire amount, as you do regen a bit in the middle sector. On board with him now. Can he find himself closer to that top step? He is purple for a sector, but we've seen everyone go purple there who is improving, so I'm not sure if we can take that. But he is 2/10 up, so that is a good start for him, as Mercedes is fighting someone for track position. Everyone trying to get a gap and make sure that they have all the room they need to set their fast laps. As we are still on board with the AlphaTauri driver, and he is still purple, but it's only 2/10 up, which means he is still 3-ish tenths away from Lewis, but could still be enough if he has a good last sector, if he runs less wing. But it does seem unlikely, and I'm expecting it to be like an 108.5. Ooh, he slowed down a lot near the end there. And it is a 108.8 instead, as Nixco and Lewis still did go out, albeit a bit late. Wimpy Nick aborts his lap and tries to regen some energy. That's not the way to do it, I don't think. Going to neutral does not help this game. And 49% is not the ideal amount, as LSC Monks improves to P3. And now P2, 3, 4 is the top 1, 2, 3 from tier 3. As Monaco in a little bit of a squabble with Williams. Wimpy Nick starting his lap. The man who we all, or most thought, would comfortably drive to another pole position is in fact not at the current moment. However, he still has one lap to go, but only 20% ERS. Will the guy in front give him space? He will. Respectful driving, as we say. No purple first sector though, unless I missed something. And so Wimpy Nick has it all to do. Lewis gets the checkered flag, maybe mistimed a bit, and so that set of tires is gone to waste. Seb has retired. Bergetown has retired with no lap time. Elias hasn't set a lap time either. A little bit weird, but alright. As Wimpy Nick does improve, and he is 2-3, almost 3/10 up, which would be enough for P2 at the current moment. Even more if he has a good last sector. He gets a tiny toe there, but it won't be enough for 2 more tenths unless Lewis had a bad last turn. It doesn't seem like it's a 108.7. You actually lose a bit of time out of the last corner. And so it is P3 for Nick. Can Nixco do anything? No, he has to abort. And that means this is your grid of the race today. Lewis takes pole position, his first of the season. Someone who's not often brought up in conversation when it comes to the top steps. But I don't know why. He's been fast this year, just unlucky in some races. Also was doing pretty good in the tier 4 race earlier this week until he got taken out. However, he takes pole position and puts his name up there in front of Nixco, who shows that he might just be better than just a tier 3 driver. Wimpy Nick, with all the issues he had with penalties and all that jazz, he still takes P3. P4 goes to Monks. Medico takes P5. Also, those are teammates in tier 3. Durgas takes P6. Parker, a slight disappointing P7. NASCAR fan YT takes P8. Seb in P9, and KA finishes the top 10. And that will be your starting lineup today. And now it's all gonna boil down to who has the best strategy, who has the best understanding of what makes for a good one, how to work with the safety cars that will inevitably happen when someone misses their braking point or has a skill issue. But as long as it is all fair and square, I don't think anyone will mind it. There's a little bit of complaining is going on, a lot of blocking happening. But that will all be investigated by the FIA. If everyone just has their POV, it is all good, fine and dandy. So if everything went according to plan, we will have safety car, or we will have a formation lap. We didn't have it for a week or 2 since we had a lot of bugs, thanks to the lovely people working at EA. We had some auto DQs after the formation lap, and so we didn't have it for a while, but we do now. So let's have a bit of a rundown here. If anyone in chat has a juicy prediction, I'm happy to hear it. When it comes to strategy, Luca takes the soft tire. He wants an aggressive stint, wants to just make up some positions, make up some time. Burgertown on hards, together with, well, pretty much half the grid. But Lewis may be slightly vulnerable, the only person on hards in the top 6. Wimpy Nick after his penalty down in 8th, also on the hard tire. I reckon the hard tire is probably the right tire to start on if there are no early safety cars, and with early I mean like lap 10 or so. But the split strategy will benefit Lewis if he can keep the pace with the medium tire, because once those go off, it is pretty quickly done and dusted. Excuse me. Anyway, personally, if Lewis can stay out of trouble, I reckon he has a chance to win it. I know he can be very fast here, but it is hard to stay out of trouble in these league races. And it's not because people are dirty, it's because everyone wants so badly to get a good result. Sometimes incidents are just a part of the game, as Burgertown does get DQ'd. Probably not my place to say, but I don't think I've seen Burgertown finish a qualifying lap as long as I've commentated here. And I think he's driven in multiple series. As I'll have to go on board with Lewis here since the wide view does not show the lights. We have 3 DQs, 4 DQs, people who cannot park, but it doesn't matter because it's all about who can drive the fastest off the line and who can finish first. 5 lights are on and 5 lights are off, and the drivers will be away shortly if the lag stops and will permit it. And Nixco has a great start. Nixco immediately alongside, and Nixco immediately past the Ferrari of Lewis. In the back, it looks like the other AlphaTauri also has a great start, and no big incidents. As I say that the Aston is round, Durgas gets pushed around as Lewis immediately tries to have a look on the inside of Nixco to try and retake that first place position. And he does so. That's a beautiful move by him. In the back, the 2 AlphaTauris and the 2 Alpines fighting for position as Nixco immediately goes around the outside and brakes later. That medium tire really coming to fruition there. Aiden losing another position, and Bergetown and Durgas again at the back of the grid. Lewis might just need to settle in and just, yeah, settle in behind Nixco on your hard tire. Try to stay within DRS as we speak. We see the both Alpines fighting harsh but fair, and LC Monks has to let Parker through. Wimpy Nick already winning 2 positions even, also gaining a few as Luca has gone from the back to P11 on a soft compound tire. That is good to see, and that's exactly what he wanted out of this start. Both Alpines fighting a bit as the Williams of Wimpy Nick immediately tries to gain a little bit of position back from a disastrous qualifying for him, as we have expected to see him in the top 3. And in the back we do see Seb catching up to him as well. KA, NASCAR fan, all pretty close to each other, but not quite close enough to manage a move, as we do see Wimpy Nick on the inside, but it's all respectable, it's all respectful. LC Monk has the seat for now and will cede the position completely and lets the leader of the championship through without too much hassle. Parker catching up to Meneco and wanting to set up a move, but it's tough. There is not a lot of grip on these tires, especially in this middle sector where it is just so slow and it's all about acceleration. Nixco trying to get outside of that DRS and has used quite some ERS in order to do so. But is he able to break that DRS? DRS will open at the start of this lap, and that will be crucial for Lewis as Parker and Meneco are out. Parker and Meneco have collided and are out of the race. 2 people who definitely would have fought for top 5 positions are out in lap 2. I'm guessing it's out of the exit of the final corner. It is on the straight. They're trying to push. We saw this yesterday as well. Trying to go side by side, trying to squeeze. Squeezing goes a little bit too far, and that is what you get. And it turns into a full safety car. Full safety car. Meneco absolutely fuming. And if I had a camera view, I would have been able to say if it makes sense or not. Everyone's POVs are usually recorded, and so the FIA will deal with it accordingly. However, that won't save the races of those 2 drivers. Very unfortunate for Parker and for Meneco. Parker, who I think I mentioned before, has such good pace, but every time I commentate, maybe I'm just the commentator's curse, I haven't seen him finish or get a good result. He just drives up to the front and then crashes out, or gets crashed out, or spins out. Any of those. It's just a huge shame to see, because I think he's a guy with potential, you know, that the pace is there. But you also need to keep your head. You also need to drive with some patience, with some, yeah, using a little bit of your head. And obviously I'm not blaming him. I'm not sure what happened, but he is in a lot of incidents, and sometimes it's just all about having to drive safely. But that being said, we have a safety car on lap 2. We're now in lap 4. as the field is slowly coming back together. Luca Beal back to last place. I'm guessing he boxed. Yeah, he did box to medium tire. He will try to finish the race doing medium now after his early soft run. And he looked very promising on the softs, not gonna lie. He gained like 4 positions pretty quickly. Burgertown has had a great start as well. Up in P9 already from what must have been P14. And so he will be pretty happy with how that went, as a lot of discussions happening. But that's all for later. Not much that can be done now. And everyone is just trying to find their space, warm up their tires, think about the future, how to approach the rest of the race. In terms of fuel, it seems like Nixco is 2 laps over. Lewis is 1 lap over. Everyone pretty safe when it comes to fuel on a track that doesn't use that much, but it is always risky. Can't rely on the safety cars, and so honestly not a bad call. Nixco, where we've seen him so many times in recent times in Tier 3, leading the pack in his AlphaTauri. His teammate in Tier 3 in P3, and so these two have definitely shown great pace, albeit just for the 3 laps. So we have a long race to go. Lewis, meanwhile, on his hard tire, still in a great position, together with Nick now up in 4th. And RB19 is trash, also known as Seb, will be trying to get rid of Nick as soon as possible, because that medium tire is going to run out quickly. The gap between medium and hards doesn't feel that big, to be honest, in terms of wear. But there is that small stage. Does he get a little tap there? Oh, that was weird. Looked like he got a little tap there, but maybe he just lost the rear. Anyway, as I was saying, gap between the 2 tires don't feel that big, but at the same time, the mediums does wear slightly harder, slightly faster rather, and so there will be this 1 or 2 laps where it is past the cliff, the first cliff, where you lose a lot of performance, and then the hard will really gain a lot of time. But that's all theoretics. And as one of my favorite quotes, theory and practice are the same in theory, but not in practice. Still have to make it work, still have to make it happen, and Nixco can now choose the pace, and he goes early. We haven't seen that before here, because it is a long straight, and the slipstream is pretty strong, as Lewis is already looking. Does he want to set up a move for turn 1? He does not, but he's protecting against Monks as well behind. And behind it seems all fine and dandy, all clean, as a few drivers there going straight. I think that was Eben and Durgus finding themselves off the track. Burgertown ignores the yellow flag and gets himself a 5-second penalty, as does Aiden. But at the same time, we do see a fight here for P2, as Wimpy Nick and RB19, as we said, fighting for that front position, as it is Durgas who finds himself in last place again after a little bit of an incident. We're not sure what happened there. We have to focus on these front guys who are driving excellently and driving away quickly as well from Burgertown, who is 2 seconds back from NASCAR Fan YT already. And Lewis just waiting patiently. Hopefully he can keep, just like last time, within that DRS. It does look like he's losing a bit of ground, and now it is all down to whether or not he can stay within that 1 second. And behind LSC Monks and Wimpy Nick, who had to defend against Seb before, and now trying to turn defense into offense, and tries to go around the outside of turn 1. It's a risky move, but if he can brake late, he can definitely make it happen. And if they give each other the space, it will definitely work, and he does take the move. That is a great move by Wimpy Nick, and that is why he's the championship leader. But he's not done yet, as LSC Monks tries to go back on the inside here of turn 3, and he breaks late, but not as late as Wimpy Nick, as he goes all around the outside, and he keeps that position. Well played by Wimpy Nick, but as you can see, he used all his DRS to stay ahead, and now will have to catch up to Lewis in order to get back some of that ERS. Otherwise, he is toast pretty quickly, as LC Monks immediately has Seb on his inside, which turns to the outside. That should be his position, but Seb keeps it around the outside and a little bit of contact as he pushes LC Monks slightly on the grass, and that does give him the position. Not quite penalty worthy, but very aggressive driving, let's say, by Seb there. But it does yield a position, and that is very positive for him, who is sticking to that 7-8-10s gap to Nixco, who is using a lot of ERS to try and get away, but it's just not working. As behind we do see another move here by Seb, who is trying to make the most out of this medium tire, and it's working. Although a bad exit sees Wimpy Nick kind of stalled down out of turn 2. And a big moment there from Seb, and that will lose him the position. Wait, Seb is Burger Town. I've been... RB19 is trash as pop move. Well, I'm dumb. I'm sorry, Seb, if you're watching. I'll just call him RB19. Fuck it. My bad. Oh, and he does go around immediately! Commentator's curse, I found out who it really is, and he gets exposed immediately and has reset the track as everyone does, but it's not allowed still, and loses 6-7 positions as he was doing so well. That is very concerning for him, and now has to fight all the way back, now behind his teammate, making it even more confusing to me who is who and who is where. However, that is what it is, as DRS is open now, or will go open now for the Ferrari driver. The question is, will he just want to stick behind, or will he immediately want to go for a move? He does stay behind for now and just says, I'm happy to just stick with you and drive away from Nick if he can do that, as the AlphaTauri shows a little bit of wear and tear as he has a big moment there. And maybe it is just time to go past, but it means that he will have to try and drive away, as people are discording me. I can't look right now, I'm commentating. Around the outside tries Lewis, but the defense from Nixco is harsh, but fair. But he leaves it for now and says, it's fine, I'll stick behind you another lap. And that makes sense. They are still almost 3 seconds away from Nick, who does have some free air, but still has to fight off Monks, as we do see another penalty from KA for track limits. But it's all about the fight for the front. It is the fight for the win, as Luca Beal up to 6th, 5th now even. 2 positions at once. That is a little bit of a mistake by NASCAR fan YT, it seems, as we have to go back to the front, as Lewis is going to set up a move here on Nixco. He knows he has the better tires, he has the better wear, he has the better ERS, he has the DRS, and now he goes around the outside. And that should be a pretty easy move this time around, as another yellow flag, and that is a McLaren off. It's Even who just can't make that turn work. It is a tricky turn, and I think that is just a setup issue. It should be a pretty easy move there, or easy flat corner rather. But with the wrong setup, it can be very tricky. But it is what it is. Another skill issue for Eben, or setup issue rather, let's say. And he finds himself back in P12, as Lewis with a beautiful move for P1 now has to try and drive away from Nixco, who will be happy to follow for now, as he does have the ERS issues. And maybe Lewis will have wanted to stay behind instead, but he could maybe drive away Nixco away from the Monks and Nick. Monks, who has overtaken Nick off screen. But the fight is really here, although Nick will probably have a move as well. He is closer than Nixco, as Even is off again, this time in Sector 2. Captain Nixco now 9/10, as he maybe forgot to open DRS, or just doesn't have the straight line speed. A move from Nick now around the outside. It's tricky on this turn, but he's done it before with the switchback, but this time around it does seem like LFC Monks knows exactly what he's going to try. But there is another DRS here, and that will make the move maybe quite easy, although low on ERS. Wimpy Nick very aggressive on that ERS usage, has to go around the outside. No, goes for the cutback, and he does that. The cutback of dreams, a beautiful move by the championship leader on LC Monks, who just has to concede and say, well played, sir, and has to slot in behind the Williams driver. What a move. And meanwhile, we do see Nixco making a little bit of a mistake, I think, as Lewis has just driven outside of that 1 second. And now his hard tires are going to be his jewel, his way to victory, as the hard tire will now be slightly better than the mediums until he will hit the cliff pretty soon as well. As hopefully he can get a little bit of a gap for himself and try and find his first win here in Tier 2. He'll deserve it. He's had good results, or at least good pace, but the results have been out so far. So let's hope. A P4 last week, maybe a P1 this week. We'll have to wait and see. A long race yet to go. Monks hasn't given up yet on Wimpy Nick and has the DRS and will not use his ERS as he is still too far back. And they will slowly try to reel in Nixco, but they are losing ground slightly. In the back, the two Red Bull drivers are still fighting for the last few spots of the points, as they are trying to navigate their way back to the front after a little bit of a skill issue by RB19. This turn, it is tricky when your tires start wearing, as he touches a bit of grass and it instantly unsettles the car, but he saves it pretty well. Another oversteer moment, another oversteer moment. His medium's just not enjoying this stage of the Grand Prix. But he does stay somewhat close to Burgertown, although here he will lose a little bit of ground once again. Nixco still sticking to that 1.3 second gap. And honestly, not a lot happening, and it's just waiting now for some pit stops or some mistakes. As Luca Biel in P5, a wonderful recovery drive from him so far. As we are on board with RB19 as Trash, who's trying to reel in his teammate but can't quite do so. His medium's clearly showing a lot of instability, as Aiden finds himself getting another penalty. That's 8 seconds now for him, and has to be careful. He's only 12 seconds in front of Elias, and that might lose him the final point. In the meantime, Luca has caught up to the back of LFC Monks. He has been flying in that Mercedes, and hopefully can provide us with some entertainment, as Burgertown and NASCAR fan has had a little bit of a moment. He loses 2 positions there. Unfortunate for him, now down in 9th, but will be able to fight his way back as his teammate is in P3. Meanwhile, on board with Luca Biel, setting up his move on the inside. A late move by LFC Monks. That was kind of cheeky, but they get through cleanly, and Luca Biel takes P4. What a brilliant drive by him so far. Let's see if he can keep it up, and he can go to mediums now as well, whereas some other drivers have to go to hard still. Low on ERS though, so might be exposed to a overtake by LFC Monks, but it doesn't seem like he has the pace himself. And Wimpy Nick not quite catching Nixco, and Nixco not quite catching Lewis. So it's looking good for the Ferrari driver at this current stage. And yeah, the biggest fight at the moment is between P3, 4, 5 and 8, 9, 10. So I guess we'll have to look at 3, 4, 5 because it's more important. Has a big lockup there for Luca Biel, but does keep the position on LFC Monks, and now with a good exit we'll still have the DRS on Wimpy Nick and should be fine. Wimpy Nick losing some real ground now to the guys in front as Nixco pushing hard this lap, gaining a little bit of time on Lewis, but Lewis immediately returns the favor by using some ERS and says 1.7 is a comfortable gap for me. Luca Biel caught back up now with that DRS, going a little bit wide again. Having a little bit of trouble with his braking points now with the worn tires, as NASCAR fan now 1/10 behind the Red Bull driver on the outside. He's gone past one. Can he get past the other? And the outside is beautiful. It just swings it around and makes that look easy. What a brilliant overtake by him. Note out of the book of his teammate who did the exact same a few laps ago. Has to protect the inside, moves to the outside a little bit late, but does so fairly. And so he completes that overtake, and P7 is his. excuse me, swapping over now back to Luca Beal, who has caught back up to Wimpy Nick. This time no lockup for him. Means he is 5/10 closer than he was last time around. And that should give him an opportunity. And as I say that, he touches the grass, and that loses him a lot of time. And he might not even get DRS depending on where that DRS activation point is, and he does not get it and loses that position to LFC Monks and might have to send it absolutely in order to get that position back, and he doesn't do so. Keeps it calm, keeps it stable, knows he has the pace, and just has to restart over. A lot of instability for him now as well, as Nixco is the first one to pit. And that means an undercut attempt by him. RB19 is trash, getting his first penalty for, I think, speeding in the pit lane, as does Aiden. Speeding definitely something that is easy to do here. I did it myself in tier 4, especially when the braking board gets broken by some idiot. Anyway, NASCAR fan YT losing his position to Burger Town, but can maybe find a move here in that start of the second sector. A dive bomb here is very risky, and he doesn't do so. See, that's the difference between tier 3 and tier 2 driving. Knows that that's not a move and just waits it out. Knows he's faster. Very well done by him. Wimpy Nick now 5 seconds behind, and now the question is, Lewis on that hard tire has to continue and might get undercut significantly here by Nixco, but will have to freshen tires near the end, as Eben gets his first penalty of the day. 3 seconds for him for cutting the corner. Luca Beal retakes P3 here on the inside of the Alpine, who just boxed instead. So that's a brilliant overtake by him. And now it's all strategy. Lewis in the lead, but has been undercut now by Nixco. But he will be having fresher tires, and he will have the medium tires, and still has the opportunity for a safety car to help him out. So let's look at Nixco, who has some traffic now, and that will slow his undercut attempt down, and he is on the inside and he leaves space, but this will slow him down significantly, and he'll be frustrated because he has so much more pace than this guy on his old hard tire. Can he send it here? He doesn't do it. He's a little bit afraid, doesn't quite know what Burger Town will do. He's trying different lines, and maybe the outside to inside. Beautiful switchback. Can he make it work? Can he make it stick? It's a beautiful move. Now on acceleration, he should have pretty easily, but no, he has a lot of wheel spin instead, and we'll have to wait for the DRS straight. And this is all playing into the hands of Lewis, who is laughing hysterically seeing this battle unfold, and finishing another lap on his hard tire instead, as Nixco will have to make this move work, and the Red Bull driver doesn't even bother defending it properly this time around. And that is Nixco back up to P5 in the race. NASCAR fan YT, for his first pit stop, he will go to the medium tires, I'm sure, and he will. And so, the only two not to box, I believe. Can I not see the amount of pit stops? There you go. Wimpy Nick, KA, Lewis, Burger Town, and Elias not boxed yet. I guess we can keep this up for now. It's alright. As captain leader is also pretty important. Frigate. 21 seconds the gap between Nixco and the race leader, as Luca Beal is in the pits. And he will make his one and only box. Actually, he already boxed earlier on the safety car. My bad. But he can go to another set of mediums here, if he so wishes. No, he does not. That's surprising. I would have gone medium here, but I'm not him, as LFC Monks takes the fastest lap, 1:10.3 fast. Passes by quite a bit, and is trying to catch back up to Nixco. Nixco says, no thank you, I want to drive my own pace, I want to catch up to the leader in the race, Lewis. As KA, Wimpy Nick, and Lewis all not boxed yet, hoping for that safety car, but I think it is about time for that medium tire to go on. I think it is lap 19, lap 20. that I would box here for that medium tire, but he's doing great on this hard tire, so maybe he can just stay out. But he is losing time to Nixco, so maybe it is just time to defensively box this lap, and the answer is no. Staying out one more. Let's see what Nick does, and now Nick has the undercut. No, Nick doesn't go for the undercut either. What about KA? His medium tires must be absolutely shafted at this point. And the answer is no. He will continue as well. And that means it's another person in the way for Nixco, as the guy behind LFC Monks getting his first penalty for corner cutting. Not the best for him. And a pretty simple move upcoming for Nixco, as KA should not defend as harshly. And as I say that, I think he's using all his ERS. No, Nixco just doesn't use his. As the Haas driver has a little bit of skill issue, and/or was just letting Nixco through. And that will help his undercut attempt, as he is only 19 seconds back now. And will take the lead as whenever Lewis boxes, who is also losing some time to Nick at this point in the race. Which means that the tires of Lewis might just be on the cliff. And as I say that, it does look like the Ferrari driver will box this lap. Don't speed. He speeds! No, Lewis! Oh, buddy. Oh. That will hurt his chances. Now he has to get that 5-second gap to Nixco, or hope that Nixco gets a penalty or two. Excuse me. Who will come out in front? I think it'll be Nixco pretty easily. It'll be a second or two. But he will stay ahead of LSC Monks, who also has a penalty. Will he? Or will he? He will. And so the new leader is our championship leader, Wimpy Nick. Great from him so far, but still has to make that pit stop and will be in provisional P4, I believe, but has all the chances still of a podium. And it's now all about Lewis having to catch up here to Nixco, as there's a yellow flag in turn 1. It's even again. Let's just go to him and quickly see what happened to him. He's reset the track already. Not enjoying his setup today, that's for sure. Neither is Elias, who isn't even driving. This is AI driving for him. As Nick is in the pits, but he will lose 2 or 3 positions regardless. KA just hoping for a safety car, keeping out. No, he goes in. Oh, he's going medium soft probably. I just realized you can do that as well. Albeit kind of risky. Purple last sector for Lewis, who has snuck inside the DRS range of Nixco. Exactly what he needs in order to have a chance of this win. Excuse me. That penalty is gonna hurt him, as everyone has done a stop, so I guess we can just have this on instead. And this time is fastest lap. Not very important. Alright. This is the real fight. Lewis has to overtake and drive away by 5 seconds to currently win this race. As it stands right now, he is in P3 and in danger of losing that position to Wimpy Nick as well if he catches up. And let's see, Monks went to softs. 5 lap old soft. I'm not sure if they can make it, as Lewis already impatiently going by Nixco and says, I have new tires, I have better tires, I'm head out. And so he does overtake Nixco into turn 1 beautifully. And he will hope that LC Monks can overtake or at least threaten Nixco so that he loses some time, but it does seem like that soft tire is already giving out. And that means maybe it is just a fight between these two for the rest of the race. Something special being needed by the Ferrari driver in order to win now. In typical Ferrari fashion, as we've seen Sainz do this year, we've seen Charles do it, speeding in the pit lane. It's easy to do, just wanting that few extra tenths, you know. It is understandable. However, Lewis really trying to break that DRS, but it is tough on this track. It is very tough. And a good exit needed here, but 9/10, it's not going to be enough here. And so he uses all his ERS and might just have to suck it up and let himself get overtaken by the AlphaTauri. And then regen his ERS and try again later stage. Although, as I say that, he gains time even with no ERS, and now is out of the DRS as well. And so I will retract everything I just said. Lewis absolutely brilliantly driving away as another skill issue in the back. I think it's Durgas this time around who has spun, but can continue his journey, luckily. Elias has just said, I'm not driving, I'll just let the AI do it. That is unfortunate to see. With 13 laps remaining, no real big fights. One here for P7. Excuse me. As my voice is already giving out. And Lewis. Oh, he touches the grass here. NASCAR fan YT has to be careful with that. That will lose you a lot of time if it doesn't kill your momentum or pushes you into the wall. He survives it this time around and stays within striking distance of the Haas driver, who has gone to the soft tires and will, or should be, driving away easily on these new softs, but is kind of struggling at the moment for some pace. I guess we should stay for the overtake as another penalty in the back for Eben, who has been lapped at this point by the Ferrari. And Mexico losing ground fast to Lewis. Oh, that is a McLaren. I was like, did Lewis disconnect? But it is still Eben. Eben, who is no longer driving apparently. Just like the AI take over these two. Not really meant to happen, but it is what happens. And unfortunately for Lewis, DRS now for Nixco on the back marker will give him a few tenths back. We'll gain him like 4 or 5 tenths, I reckon. Or none if he doesn't open it. I think he did open it actually. Just has way more wing, and so doesn't have the pace on that straight. Lewis continuing to control the race, control the pace, but has that 5-second penalty looming over his head, and will need some extra pace in order to win this one. His maiden win will be long awaited, but it will have a lot of merit with Wimpy Nick in here, with drivers like Meneco, Parker, Nixco. You know, these guys are not slouches. LFC Monks, obviously. And as I'm saying that, Wimpy Nick has slowly caught up to the back of LFC Monks, who I think just forgot to change his tire strategy in the MFD, and now has to suffer on these soft tires for the rest of the race, because his softs are as old as the hards of Nixco, and he might just need to box again. Might just have to suck it up and turn it into a two-stopper, because this is not going to work. Oh, he is defending harsh against Wimpy Nick, and will stay ahead for now, and Nick is losing a lot of time here on the drivers ahead, as he wants to get closer to Nixco and Lewis. He is getting held by this Alpine, who has every right to defend his position, and will give it up here into turn 3, and that is Wimpy Nick back to where he belongs on the podium, just where we've seen him pretty much every time he's driven. And Nixco just needed to stay in 5 seconds, as I said, but is struggling and is losing time rapidly to that medium of Lewis. But we saw earlier that Lewis did struggle later on in the stint and might do so again. I reckon he has the win here if he just keeps it on the track, just keeps it smooth and steady. And hoping that Mexico continues to struggle here on the hard tire. Also, track limits, very important. We haven't discussed that yet, but we don't know how many warnings Lewis and or Nixco have. Very important for them to keep it within little white lines. As I say, it's a very tight line there, which is very fast, but can be given a penalty if they do it too often. 4.5 the gap now. As Nixco getting another DRS from the McLaren ahead. What? How did the McLaren re-overtake him? Is he just getting continuous DRS from this guy? What the? Surprising. But the gap's pretty big, except for between these two. KA has caught up to the back of RB19 as Trash and has a lot of overspeed. Wow. That DRS doing bits for the Haas driver, and he reclaims P6. And a good result for him that would be, as his teammate is down in 13th, not the best. And now RB19 looking dicey and wanting to make a remove, and he sends it on the inside. That is not a move, man. That is not on. And that will be investigated. Definitely after losing his rear, he just had it in his mind. You could see it in the way he approached the corner that he wanted to make the move. He was just committed to it in his mind already. And then he had the moment and just made the move look absolutely ridiculous. But he makes it stick, and KA will probably complain after the race. Doesn't have to right now, as I miss my boy Shanghai, man. He would have made this race even more exciting. It is what it is. Few drivers that usually make the tier 2 really exciting. Not here today. It is holiday. It makes sense, but Nixco not able to pass this McLaren. He keeps getting DRS, but that means he is driving the pace of an AI. An AI are typically quite slow. I think it has to be put on 60 according to the regs by the league. But as you can see, gap now 6 seconds. Losing time rapidly. He keeps getting DRS, and that's fine and dandy, but it's not going to do anything. I think Nixco has just accepted P2, and that means all Lewis has to do is keep it in a straight line and not get another penalty. Knock on wood. Because last time I said something, he absolutely sped into the pit lane when I said don't speed into the pit lane. So let's hope that he actually listens to me this time. Keep it on the gray stuff, bro. This win is yours. KA RB19 still tussling. No love lost between these two. Although I reckon KA should have the pace on him, but his softs will be degrading pretty quickly at this point. As the Red Bull is trying to find some space, trying to find a move, but can't quite do it. A little bit of lag there. As hopefully he doesn't make the same mistake as last time. He has a better line through here, and so he keeps wanting to make a move here. You see him again, he breaks later and almost rear ends the Haas. But they keep each other alive. A little bit of oversteer there. Very aggressive driver from both sides, but it is just about within the margins of error, just between the margins of what is acceptable driving. And this time around, RB19 wins out on that tussle, and NASCAR fan has now caught up to the back of these two tussling drivers, and KA actually getting a very poor exit, meaning this time around NASCAR fan is there to reap the benefit. No, it doesn't seem like it, as KA using a lot of ERS and a very late move to the inside by RB19, and that might get investigated, and it does give damage to the Haas driver, and around the outside goes the Red Bull, and they do push out KA again. And these two will not, these two will have worse at the end. These two will not be happy with each other, as he's only defending each other. That is KA just misjudging the overtake moment. But does take the inside, and RB19 just turns in like the Haas driver's not there. And at this point, emotions are boiling over, and hopefully they can keep it within reasonable within reasonable driving standards. A little bit of a tap there from the RB19, and KA getting a penalty, but might get that rescinded after he can maybe show that he got pushed, as Eben overtakes Aiden, excuse me, Aiden, who is taking a late pit stop for the fast lap probably, even though that won't give him a point outside of the top 10. Now, back on board with RB19, KA has lost ground to both of these drivers. His softs are gone, and RB19 does not want to give up this fight so easily, and sees now the blinking of the Williams driver in front, and might try and line up a move here into turn 1. But doesn't quite do it this time around. He does brake late again. Just way more confidence on under braking, this guy, compared to the drivers ahead. But it is still tricky, you know. You have to take into the consideration that they might brake early. You cannot just rear-end them when they do. So that might still have some discussion at the end with the FIA, but we'll have to see after, as Wimpy Nick now caught up to the rear of Nixco, and this is very important if he has the pace to overtake and then get within 5 seconds of Lewis. It is again a Wimpy Nick victory. And while I think that he is showing to be the fastest driver, one of the if not the fastest driver of the tier, I'd love to see a different face on that top step this time around. And with 4 laps remaining, he will have to get a move on if he wants to make it happen. And Nixco won't be giving it away that easily, or will he? He doesn't even defend it, but Wimpy Nick doesn't quite make the move stick. That rhymes, so it must be true. And so he has to wait, and every turn that Nixco keeps him behind is another turn that Lewis is absolutely safe. Yellow flag in the second sector, that hopefully wasn't Lewis, and it doesn't seem like it was. And Nixco can't see anything with this McLaren driver in the way, but he will have to do with what he has. And every turn that he keeps Nick behind is a big win for Lewis, and the only thing that Wimpy Nick will be very scared of here is that Nixco will also have DRS here, and that might just be able to protect him from the attack that will inevitably come here on the straight, using all the DRS, RB19 getting a penalty here for track limits, and on the inside, no defense from Nixco. Again, a very mellow driver, it seems, although he hangs around the outside. Point taken, point proven, as he gets a penalty, and that is unfortunate. He hangs it around the outside, beautiful. And as MJ is saying, it is Lewis and Nick. Yeah, let's say Nico, that makes more sense. That would... They're not on the same team, but I'll take it. Lewis not quite a 7-time world champion yet. This is only his first season here, but might be on his way if he can keep Wimpy Nick at bay. I rhymed that again. Oh. I hope this is going into the highlights. Anyway, 7.4 seconds. We saw last time Nick was faster near the end of that stint, and if he can gain that 2.5 seconds in the last 2 laps, he will take the win once again. And Lewis just needs to keep it steady, keep it cool, not do anything weird, and use your ERS wisely, and he does use a bit here. Wimpy Nick, less ERS to work with, but maybe a little bit more tire, and that might just be an disadvantage here, although he might just settle for P2 as well. I don't think I saw Lewis in any incidents, so his P1 is pretty secure if he can keep it outside of 5 seconds of Wimpy Nick. Behind, not much happening. Burgertown and is just gonna gain infinite positions. No, he's gonna gain 2 with all the penalties around him, keeping it clean. Only him and Nick keeping it clean everywhere. And Wimpy Nick taking 5/10 in that middle sector, but even that is not enough, as Lewis is starting his final lap and using all his ERS on the straight, almost all his ERS, and saying, "This is my win. This is it. The final lap has started. He breaks for the first turn. We're gonna stay on board with him as no real fights are happening behind with everyone getting infinite penalties. It doesn't really matter. He just has to keep it straight. As we told Jack once, you just have to keep it in a straight line, man. And so that is what I will tell Lewis. A few more corners and a few more moments to negotiate. Trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it steady, keep it on the gray stuff. Don't be too greedy on the throttle here. Very smooth. Get the apex, get it turned in. Don't mind the gap going down, don't mind it. It's 1.9 seconds you have to spare. And if he doesn't bin it, this win is his. A man I haven't seen in enough discussions when it comes to favorites for podiums. A man often overlooked. And a man who shows that he has to be one of the names in consideration for the top steps in this championship. It is Lewis around the final corner. It is Lewis across the line to win the Brazilian Grand Prix. An absolute stunning drive. Strategically and managed beautifully by him. Nick has to settle for second for the first time in forever. Nixco takes P3. He'll be happy as a tier 3 driver to join here and do so well. LSC Monks as a reserve, I think, here as well. Doing great bits here. Or actually, no, I think he's a new Alpine driver here. He wins here as well. A decent amount of points for Alpine, that is. Luca with a beautiful recovery drive from what must have been 14th or something. Oh, he started last with the soft tires. Great from him. NASCAR fan gets P6. RB didn't serve a penalty and gets 5 more seconds, and that means Bergtown will gain a few positions here. He will not. 7,000th, that's unlucky. KA won't be happy with the contact he had with RB19, but that will be investigated for sure. Durgas will round out the top 10 and he'll be happy that the race is over, but P10 is his. But what a victory from Lewis, and hopefully putting himself on the map out there, not just for tier 2 but also maybe the guys from tier 1 watching the stream and seeing that guy drive an excellent and consistent race. That is the Brazilian Grand Prix of CRF2, with 2 of the favorites, or favorites for podiums at least, out in lap 2. Maybe not the most exciting race, but strategically still handled so well by some of these drivers. Wimpy Nick with a great recovery drive from 8th back to 2nd, showing why he is named a lot in rumors on a possible move to tier 1. Lewis showing that he is definitely capable of fighting for wins. Nixco with a great first result. LC Monks P4, he'll be very happy. Luca B with an amazing recovery drive. NASCAR fan, very consistent. RB19, a little bit dicey, but points, will be happy with that. Burgertown, pretty boring race for him. KA, a little bit incident prone against RB19, but that will be looked at. And Durgas, just decent. A point for him. We'll be happy. That is it for me. My name is Fridge. Thank you very much for watching. This was CRF2. We're here again tomorrow for CRF1, Tier 1 racing, where the best boys will be trying to stop Welsh Jack from winning another race. But until then, I will leave you here. Thank you very much for watching, and have a